The IRS finally clarifies inherited IRAs, RMDs. Finally. We've been waiting for this for literally years now. It's nuts that it takes so long to get this finally clarified. I see a big old butt staring at me. Oh boy. Dogs, gotta love them, man, but they're knuckleheads. All right, so here's from the Wall Street Journal today. I think it was today, 2 days ago. Heirs finally get an answer from IRS about money in inherited retirement accounts. So we're just going to skip on through because I want to show you what it says. These don't apply to spouses, all right? Spouses who inherit an IRA, these rules do not apply. I can't tell you how many people think it does. It's weird. I'm like, why would you say that? It's dumb. But no, spouses are completely separate. They apply mostly to children, right here. Let's see. Where does it say? Grandchildren, children, siblings, and friends. So a non-spouse beneficiary. All right, so when I die, Charlotte has a different rule than when my kids inherit it. I hope that makes sense because my kids are not my spouse. Unless I live in Boston, you know what I'm saying? They always like to bash the South. We're going to bash the Northeast. So unless my kids are my spouse, I live in Boston, I go to Harvard or something like that, or MIT, because, hey, who knows what is going on anymore at these Ivy League universities. All right, so let's see. If the person who died was required to take withdrawals, all right, that's at the required beginning date, the person who inherits the account must take annual payments starting the year after death. All right, so if you have still got to be exhausted in 10 years. The account has got to be distributed in 10 years, but you have to start taking RMDs right out the gate. And it has to be exhausted in 10 years as long as the person who died was already beyond his required beginning date. And that would mean that he's already taken RMD. So to give you an example, they got an example here right quick. Robertson Williams, a 76-year-old retired economist in Alexandria, Virginia, I guess is a he or they, whatever, he inherited an IRA from his 101-year-old mom in 2020. He thought the rules meant he had to take out a tenth of the account each year, which just wasn't true because we didn't know what the hell it was. But because because his mom was already beyond her required beginning date, he now has to take RMDs based on his life expectancy. And so it's very interesting because I'm going to share with you something in a second here. So because the mom was over the age of RMDs, all right, that's required beginning date. She had to start taking her RMDs when she died. She left it to a non-spouse beneficiary, in this case, Robertson, I think his name's Williams or something like that. He has to start taking RMDs based on his life expectancy, all right? But it's still got to be exhausted in 10 years. So we come down here, right here, withdraw, let's see. Following the updated IRS guidance, tax pros said heirs should be careful that if they only take out the required distributions each year. Doing so would mean a balloon distribution in the final year, year 10, 100%. For example, if a taxpayer inherited a $100,000 IRA and didn't take distributions, let's just say he inherited a 100,000 IRA and the IRA had a 5% rate of return, the market value would be $121,000 if he hadn't taken any distributions up to this point. The required distribution would be just $4,000. If the taxpayer continued taking out the RMD, the minimum RMD by default by 2030, the year the account would have to be exhausted because he inherited in 2020, there'd be $151,000 to distribute. So this is one of those things. If you have an inherited IRA, I wouldn't even tap into your TSA or TSP, 401k, pre-tax IRA first. I would be tackling that inherited IRA. I'd be even hesitant to do Roth conversions because you can't convert inherited IRAs. So what I would do is I'd say, hey, if it's a Roth, you don't have to have RMDs. It still has to be exhausted within 10 years. Just remember that. A Roth, there are no RMDs. It still has to be exhausted within 10 years. So at the end of 10 years, you have to have the Roth has to be depleted if it's an inherited IRA, inherited Roth IRA. But anyway, with required minimum distributions and then a big lump sum hit at the end of 10 years, if you only take the RMD, I'd be very hesitant to mess with my own money here. I'd just be focused on getting that sucker exhausted. So if I inherited $100,000, I'd be taking $10,000, $15,000 a year just to get that sucker down to zero. Would I still do Roth conversions? Maybe, but I would certainly do that secondary as opposed to doing what I got to take out from my inherited IRA because the inherited IRA has to be zeroed out in 10 years. All right, so you don't want to get hit with that lump sum of $115,000, whatever they said in that article. That'd be freaking crazy. So don't do that. So just get that inherited IRA zeroed out as quickly as you can in a tax efficient way. Then you can start focusing on other things. Anyway, so there we go. Again, the rules are very simple. if you're a non-spouse beneficiary, anybody but a wife or husband, all right, if you're a non-spouse beneficiary and you're the person who died who left you the money, the decedent was at beyond RMDs, they reached the required beginning date, you must take RMDs based on your life expectancy. All right, we know that for a fact. And it has to be exhausted within 10 years. We know that for a fact. That is not debatable anymore. So you can't just wait and say, I'm not going to touch this until year 10. It doesn't work like that anymore. Other than a Roth IRA, because a Roth, there are no RMDs. Confusing, but at least we have some clarification. All right, love your thoughts. God bless. We'll see you.